Hey and hello, everybody. Welcome back to Late Night Live with the Toffee Blues. I am not the Toffee Blues. I am Forrest at USAEFC on my socials, and I'm joined today by Jacob Holton. Jacob, say hi to the folks.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
Guys, it is good to be back. So we say, even though it is another winless week for the Toffees, we are here to talk about West Ham. Even though it's been a few days, it is good to sit there and digest and think and not react too heavily right away. We'll get into West Ham and that disappointment. We'll talk a bit about this winless run that the team is on. We'll look ahead to Crystal Palace and we'll answer some of your questions. So, Jacob, unless you have anything you want to tell anybody, we'll jump right into it. I'll give you 5 seconds.
No, let's go. Let's get into this.
Don't even need it. Don't even need 5 seconds. All right. So, if you don't know what happened on Monday, we'll fill you in. Everton drew 1-1 with West Ham at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. In doing so, they ended their clean sheet run at home, limited to 2 games. I was really wanting to see how long it would last us before we conceded at home. And I really didn't want it to be a club like West Ham. I didn't want it to be any club, but if it was anybody, I'd be like, oh, Arsenal or Chelsea, whatever. At the end of the day, it was Jared Bowen and West Ham. And the game finished 1-1 in what was a pretty big disappointment for all of us. Would you agree?
I would agree. 3 points was definitely there for the taking. They let a couple of chances go by the wayside. And it's just Alphonse Areola made a couple saves too in there. So to be fair, but yeah, I mean, West Ham, that's a struggling side. Even with a new manager bounce, you should be able to dispatch them at home. So that is disappointing.
Yep, I agree. Saw the lineup, wasn't surprised at all. Beto or Barry starting is just about the only change that tends to happen until Branthwaite gets fit. So I kind of was like, okay, we should be able to play well enough here. We should be able to create, and it'll just be on us to put away our chances. Started off the game heavy on possession. I wouldn't say we were necessarily creating too much, but I think the aim was to try to get those set pieces because that's a place that West Ham have been really weak this season. The goal for us eventually did come from a quasi set piece. The second motion of that, Michael Skeen scored off a James Garner cross. Exactly what we expected. What he's been due, guys, had a great save or hit the post in like 3 games straight. So he was due a goal. Been one of our best players this season, Michael Keane. In that first half, until probably the last 5 minutes or so, was largely dominated by Everton.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty impressive start. West Ham did kind of like shell up and said, "Hey, you know what? You have to beat us with something a little bit different. You're gonna have to move the ball around and get some crosses into the box because they weren't gonna let us play through the lines, probably like Everton wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And that cross by James Garner was perfect. I mean, it was right to Michael Keane's head, and he did not miss. I mean, that was a bullet header. I mean, there was probably not a keeper that was going to keep that out of the net. It was a great start. It was a really good first half. I thought that's exactly what you wanted to see. Maybe a little bit more pressure in the final third from Everton would have been nice, but I thought it was good.
Yeah, and just real quick, shout out to Burnley till I die. Glad you're here, man. It's cool to see fans of other clubs here as we talk about Everton. But yeah, I agree. West Ham definitely did not want us to play through the lines, and I think a few teams we played through Villa were the same way of kind of seeing that about us, and don't want to allow us to play these little passes that we were playing against Wolves right at home earlier this season, or at home. I'm sorry, at the Molineux earlier this season. Where you see Jack Grealish making a run, you see Kieran Dewsbury Hall making a run through the middle, and it's a little reverse pass or a little slip pass through for them. And we did that multiple times to success against Wolves. And it seems like other teams have been like, okay, we're not going to let them do that. And that had been our main avenue of attack for a while. But one of the issues that we see now with Everton is that getting crosses into the box, and we're not talking about these low crosses or something that's just trying to stab in at close range, but across that's at head height. We don't seem to have the height or the heading ability right now to be able to make use of those. And so teams are forcing us to do that, to cross from out far. We don't have the overlapping fullback. So when you watch us play and you think of like the Everton of old with Coleman on the right and Baines on the left, hard overlapping. And when we're in possession, we have that extra mode of attack that the defense has to be wary of because it can lead to a really good cross. We don't have that. You have Vitaly Mykolenko, God bless him, tries his best. He's not an attacking fullback. He's good enough defensively. I think he's been a little suspect this season. Whether he's carrying an injury or not, we don't really know. but he isn't there in terms of his ability and really his confidence on the ball. And then Jake O'Brien, man, like I love Jake O'Brien. He's not a fullback, and I think that's become far more evident, judging by the fact that we've had a lot more possession this season, that we have a lot more players that want to have possession and do something with that. And he just isn't quite that player in terms of creative aspect. If he was in the middle of the pitch, he would take the ball on, he'd carry it upfield 20 yards to get it, bring it out of defense. He would totally do that. But when he's in that final third, it's not him. It's not his game. You'd rather him be on the end of a cross and putting it in. But it's where we are right now as a club. We know we don't have that fullback cover. We have a couple things here. Do you want McNeil back? No, not yet. I don't know. His showing against Wolves was lackluster. The whole team was pretty apathetic, it felt like. But Jacob, I don't know what you think about McNeil, but I'm not totally sold on him coming back into the side.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what happened between the end of last season and into the summer, but he had a rough preseason. Every time we've seen him in a match this year, it's not been super convincing. He was, I didn't get to watch the Wolves match, but all I heard was that he was like the worst player on the pitch, just about. So I don't really see any way that he's going to help Everton score more goals or even, be a defender of any kind. So I don't really see a need to be inserting McNeil back into the starting 11.
Yeah, I agree. It's just, I don't know. It seems to me like he's not taking the fact that he's not a starting player very well. Again, this is all conjecture. It's what we see from the outside looking in, but at the same time, you can read a player's body language. And especially when he gets on the pitch, it doesn't seem like maybe he's quite happy playing the supporting role now. So getting into the second half against West Ham, we started off really strong. Moyes, it seemed like he told the side, he could see that we were slipping a bit at the end of the first half. West Ham were starting to come into the game and get chances, but he looked and he said, guys, we need to get this second goal right away. And we came out hot. We came out creating chances. James Garner got a good shot on goal. Other people had chances, but it kind of turned about 10 or 15 minutes into the second half, Jacob.
Yeah. And credit to West Ham. They figured out an exploit and they went after it hard. Doof was just running at Jake O'Brien for the entirety of the second half, and he was beating him every single time. And he was getting good crosses into the box. And Everton didn't have an answer. I personally would have pulled Jake O'Brien off the pitch. I would have put Seamus Coleman on. I would have put Nathan Patterson on. I would have put a real right back on there and been like, look, they are crushing us down the left-hand side. We have got to stop this guy. And it just didn't happen. And obviously, Iliman Ndiaye wasn't helping him at all. I mean, it was Jake O'Brien on an island. So, I mean, but it was the worst we've seen probably from Jake O'Brien in an Everton kit, and it was unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, I felt for him, and we'll talk player ratings later, but I really felt for Jake O'Brien, man, because that sort of game was kind of coming for him, where he just went up against a left-sided duo from a team that he could just not cover on his own. And look, Iliman Ndiaye is great at tracking back. Typically, he gets it really well. But one of the things that West Ham did was they overloaded that left side. They told you if you push right up next to Somerville and you go run at him and you run at him hard, and he did. And Tarkowski would come up, and you saw for the goal that West Ham scored, Tarkowski came up to support, and Diouf just took him, just ran right by him. And look, at the end of the day, I don't think Seamus Coleman could have stopped him, because I just don't think he's got that in his legs anymore. And Nathan Patterson maybe could have kept up, because I think he's got a bit of pace, but at the same time, the guy hasn't had match. He didn't even get into the cup game.
Yeah,
against Wolves. So I don't think he has, he makes the bench because we need people on the bench. We're not going to put a kid on there. But I don't think he has much of a future at the club, and I don't think Moyes trusts him anywhere near enough to put him on unless he's absolutely desperate. But they targeted O'Brien hard. I agree. They went after him right away. And Diouf, again, I think he's a fantastic left back. Honest to God, if there is any realm of possibility where we finish on the top half this season and West Ham finish really low down, I think he should be top priority. Bring him in. I don't care, 40 million, whatever. Because that guy is 21. He's got all the pace and power. Defensively, he's okay. He's got a little bit to learn, but he's a young guy. But he's fast and he's strong, and he can put in a dang cross. I would love to see that down our left side for 5-6 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, they got their goal. It was a really unlucky goal when it comes down to the fact that Keane deflected it. Because I think when you look at where the goal was going, Pickford might have just been able to get his fingertips on it.
I agree. It looked like from when you saw the replay, because at first you're like, oh, well, fair play. He just placed it in the corner. It's
Correct.
Jared Bowen. It's whatever. And then you see the replay and you see this massive deflection off Michael Keane, and you're like, well, shoot.
Yep.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Bowen's a great player. That could have been arrowing into the top corner, and we Pipper couldn't have been near it. But at the same time, you look at it and you just wonder, and that deflection takes it away. It cements the fact that it is a goal. And he almost kind of deflected it into Pickford's hands. But regardless, that's a bang play. It was really disappointing. And from then on, West Ham had a few more chances. They created a few more chances. They probably could have won it if they had the confidence to finish. They are still a side that has struggled this season. That's, I think, still, within the bottom 4 or 5 teams, despite having a new manager. So, they almost put us to the sword. And if they had more confidence, they would have. And the last 5 or 6 minutes, we created a little bit, but throughout the rest of the game, Dibbling came on and did some nice moves, but wasn't really able to get into the spaces to put any crosses in. And Barry came on and was unfortunately a bit apathetic. I don't think we exactly play to our striker's strengths per se. So I think that's really tough for both Beto and Barry. We'll talk about that in a second, to get involved in this game. But it ended 1-1, and then everybody was just a bit disappointed.
Yeah, and I'll also say, like, not that it really had an effect on the outcome. It kind of did. It was another shambolic performance by the referees. All the officials, just another shambolic. That's a handball. That play against West Ham, I think.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
That's a handball. I mean, it's not like an egregious one, I don't think, but it's a handball. I think it's a penalty. And the foul on Dewsbury Hall where he wins the ball, and then it's just a foul, and then a yellow card for Dewsbury Hall on nothing. It's ridiculous.
It was a mistake from the ref. That was the glaring mistake for that. Like the handball one, it's so hard with the handball these days because there's so much like room for incident that they give defenders now, where they're just like, because and then they just go to VAR. VAR is like, well, if you didn't call it, we're not going to call it. So, and that's what it is, right? So it seems like it's just, there is that really big inconsistency in the handball rule. But I just, honestly, it's hard to pay attention to these days. And even when it's against Everton, it's just like, oh, this is another annoying. Is it a handball? Is it not a handball? Was he too close? Was it an unnatural position? What's an unnatural position? Like, tell me that now. Like, nobody could, as a referee couldn't even sit down and explain it to me fully because they probably don't even fully know. But the foul, the Dewsbury Hall yellow card, I mean, people were saying, oh, we got a yellow for dissent. That ref was pulling out his yellow on the foul, not for the dissent. So I want to hear about dissent. It was just like, I don't know what the referee wanted. He wins the ball, and the follow through over the top of the ball takes his foot onto the other player's foot, and the player goes down like he's going to, because it's a professional footballer and that's what they're told to do. So because you're trying to get yourself out of a bad situation. Fine, I get it. I don't personally think that's cheating. Right. I don't think it's morally right per se, but I don't think it's cheating.
Right.
But at the end of the day, like to think that one, you see that ball going the other direction where he puts his foot, so it's a tackle. He's touched that ball, and then you're going to sit there because that player fell down. Okay, it's a foul, and you know what? It's bad enough. He's holding his leg. Yellow card. You went in too strong. It's just ridiculous, and it was just ridiculous. I'm not going to blame the referee for the loss again because it's not his fault. We have to create at the end of the day, but it is a frustration because that was a really good moment. He won the ball back in a really good spot and had a chance to put in a good cross or whatever. But whatever. So the game ended 1-1. And we're going to talk a little bit about individual players. I have player ratings written down, Jacob, and so I can go off them first, and you tell me your thoughts.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
So we'll just start at the top with Jordan Pickford. I gave Jordan Pickford a 7 out of 10. He wasn't really called into action very much. The few times I think he made one save, maybe two. The reason I gave him a 7 was that when Somerville got slipped in, he was very, very on point and getting into that ball. Got to it first, tackled Somerville. That was a really big play for us because Somerville was, who knows what that was, another goal. That was a chance. O'Brien just got totally caught cold, and he saw that and covered for him right away. That's why I gave Pickford a 7, and also because I feel like he probably would have gotten his fingers on that one shot because he's just in that form right now.
Yeah. No, 7's fair. 7's fair. Totally. And that play, I mean, Jake O'Brien left him out to dry, and he just saved him. I mean, it was excellent.
Yep. Yeah, he did. It was very, very good professional goalkeeping play. Mikolenko next. I gave him a 6. Um, yeah, you know, it's just the fact that we need an attacking fullback, and he doesn't do anything wrong for the most part defensively. He's had a couple lapses in concentration. Um, and you could kind of blame him maybe for not closing down Bowen well enough on his goal. But at the same time, I don't think he really put any feet wrong. I think his issue is that I would love for David Moyes to look at Mikolenko in the eyes and say, look, I want you to stop thinking about your crosses, because he will take a touch, look up, think about it, and then put in a ball that's just not where it needs to be. And I would want Moyes to tell him, look, just instinct. The second you get it, launch that cross in, make it early, because we're not getting a bunch of bodies into the box. It's typically like 5-on-2, 5-on-3 at best when it comes to defenders versus attackers in the box for us. So, and it's Beto and then like Iliman and Dyer and Tewsbury Hall, and they're not really going to be heading the ball in very much, unless it just happens to fall to them. Regardless, I would love to see him just be a little more instinctual with his crosses. Just don't think about it. Just put it in. Just get that ball in the mixer over and over and make those defenders like not even have a chance to set themselves and try to catch them off guard. Personal.
Yeah, I can 5, 6. It's around there. I think he's a good defender. I think he's a great defender at times. I mean, we've seen him shut down Mo Salah multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
Just completely pocket him. It's just he offers nothing going forward, not a thing. Which is, it's fine, but like in today's football, it's just it's not helpful.
Yeah, I agree, and especially the way we want to play. If we have this focus on the wide areas, we need to have that overlapping ability to overload those sides. So just a real quick shout out, Mark Smith. Nice to see you from Bogota, Colombia. Mira, si puedes hablar en español, podemos hablar, pero este película no sé la palabra, es solo en inglés, lo siento. But anyways, that's my flex today.
Well done.
Yeah,
well
thank
done.
you. Moving on was my man of the match, Michael Keane. I gave him, and so he's a man of the match, but I only gave him a 7. I would have given him an 8. But I'm like, the deflection to me was like, oh man, like I guess he couldn't stop himself. It's instinct. If he hadn't touched it, I would have given him an 8. Because he touched it and it cemented the goal, I have to take that rating point back. It feels really harsh, but these are harsh times, man. They're lean times at Everton, bro. So deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Keane, he was brilliant. I mean, he's honestly been the best center back at the club this season because Jared Branthwaite hasn't played it.
Correct.
And at times, James Tarkowski has been kind of a disaster, from time to time. So,
he was very close to getting sent off.
Yeah, he got a yellow card and then immediately had like this
another foul. Yeah,
a foul, and then the reaction after the foul. I'm like, James, you gotta like chill out a little bit. You're gonna get sent off. Yeah, but like. Michael Keane scores the goal, and he was excellent defensively through that entire game, except for the deflection. It just it stings because like if he doesn't make that deflection and Jordan Pickford makes a save, everyone is raving about Michael Keane, and I'm sure everyone still is raving about Michael Keane.
I thought people are really having that same viewpoint as me, honestly.
Yeah, but it's just a bummer. It's a bummer.
It is, but that's just the game, And again, we allowed West Ham to continue to come at us and didn't solve that counterattack on the left enough. So at the end of the day, it's just kind of the way the game went. So next is James Tarkowski. I gave him a 6. He showed the best and worst of himself, made some good tackles, looked fairly comfortable bringing the ball out of defense, which is not something you can always say, but he definitely lost his head a bit, almost got sent off. I like his yellow card. I don't know if it's a yellow. I think he gets a yellow because he's stretching for it, but he's also stretching for it because Ganagay played a really, really soft pass to him. I don't know. I think a lot of our players are going to react to referees negatively throughout the season because it just seems like it's something we have to address every week. It's just these calls that just don't make a lot of sense to us. But referees are just very polarized. But James Tarkowski, 6 out of 10 for me. Just in the middle.
Yeah, I'd probably drop him down to a 5. I mean, the yellow card. I thought his clearance on the Bowen goal was pretty poor. It was kind of into a no man's land, and it was kind of too straight to Jared Bowen.
It's Michael Keane who headed it, actually.
Oh, it was okay. Okay, yeah. Never mind. Sorry.
Well, which is fun. Like, to me, though, at the same time, like I look at that as he's just trying to get the ball out.
Sure.
He's just trying to get the contact on it so it doesn't fall to anybody else behind him. He doesn't really know what's going on, but at the same time, I don't know. You blame Mikolenko for tucking in too much and not keeping his position, like whatever it may be. But regardless, yes, I hear you about Tarkowski. Yeah. So after Tokarski, we go to Jake O'Brien. I give him a 5. I just, I feel for the guy, and it's not all his fault because he's a center back playing at right back, but he really got ran around. He did not have a great game. Looked fine in terms of in possession, but in terms of his defense, that Somerville really ran at him constantly, and that was tough for Jake.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give him a 4.5. I mean, he just wasn't good, and that's it's no fault of his own. He's not a fullback. He's a center back playing fullback, and he's doing his best. And he had some really good matches last year, and he's had some good matches at fullback, but he's not a fullback. And Somerville just exposed him, and Doof exposed him. It is what it is. I have seemed to have lost my host.
I don't know what happened. Anyways, continue.
There we go. There's my host.
I swiped my touchpad by accident. All right.
Whoops. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, like you said, Jake O'Brien really got exposed. I think one of the things about this fullback position is with this evolution of this Everton side as we continue again to have more possession. We're going from 30% possession every game to 40% to 50%. We're going to have the ball more. And when you have those attacking phases, if your midfield is not going to be stepping into these attacking positions, then your fullbacks and your wingers need to be playing together to force the attacking issue. And we don't have that. Vitala Mikalenko is not the attacking fullback. Jake O'Brien isn't the attacking fullback. And until we get those, at least under David Moyes, this attack will not look superb, especially when the more possession they get, because it's the over reliance on those wide areas and trying to have Element and Die bring it inside or Jack Grealish bring it inside and running into 2 or 3 men and not having the movement around them to be able to make use of the ball in the right ways is going to be hampering us. So moving on to what will probably be a surprise, Idrissa Gana Gueye, I gave him a 5. I think that this should be the last season that he plays with Everton. I think that he is declining pretty heavily. Personally think he's declining pretty heavily. Just maybe it's the start to the season. He's not quite to fitness because of his age. I don't think he has been anywhere near the player we saw throughout last season. I think a part of that is because we have possession a bit more, and he is not the kind of player who necessarily is really good on the ball. He left 2 or 3 passes short on Monday that one got Tarkowski a yellow card, and really just were in moments and movements in the game where we just needed that passing to continue to be crisp. I think that many times West Ham cut through our midfield pretty easily, especially in that first half. While it didn't come to anything, and it's because our middle is still pretty strong, regardless of if our midfield gets cut through, because we have 2 good center backs and a good back four in general. I just think that he's just lost a really important step, whether it's his reading of the game, whether it's his agility and movement, it's a physical thing. I think he's just lost a step this season, and it's a little worrying to me.
I think 5 is fair. He wasn't at his best. But I actually don't share the same sentiment as you. I think he's still got it. Maybe once we wear down into the season and these performances become more concerning, and we're not seeing that same consistency from him week in and week out, and as the fixture list gets more congested, maybe we see this pop up a little bit more. And maybe you're right. But I really thought this was a one-off. He wasn't. I don't think he was terrible. Like there were a couple stray passes that it's just like, man, if you could have just made that pass, things would have been a little bit better. His shot wasn't terrible. It went just a little rising. He was trying to recreate his Derby goal, but
I mean, it was pretty close. I remember.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not ready to call him losing a step just yet. But it is something to keep an eye on. I think you're right, because he is getting older, and you don't keep that form forever. Especially in the midfield in the Premier League
and in your mid-30s. It's just the physical cliff that you hit eventually. It comes to us all. I'm 31. I can tell by the way my knees and ankles are going.
We're getting there.
It's not too far off.
We're getting there.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I don't want Idrissa Gana Gueye to be done at Everton, but I'm just noticing these things that he's not able to quite do anymore, and I'm just the beginning of the worry is starting to come up, especially because we rely on him so heavily and what he does for this team. And we don't really have anybody else in the midfield that can do that. I don't think Timmy Rabuno can do that quite yet. I know Carlos Alcaraz is not that kind of player, and James Garner isn't really that kind of player. So we have a big reliance on him at this age that he's at, and in a really important part of the game pitch. So next, James Garner, gave him a 6. I like James Garner a lot. I think he's grown so immensely as a player, especially this season in terms of his leadership on the pitch, in terms of his willingness to get on the ball and create things. I really like James Garner and what he's turning into. And think as long as he stays at this club that he will be a very important part of this team. That being said, I think he was good without being great on Monday. Tried to get us forward, had a couple of good shots on target that were well saved. He seems to be a player who just wants that bottom right corner, that bottom left corner of the goal if you're facing it. And that's just where he games. And he comes in down that left side like he did against Brighton and just takes that shot either first time. And he's really accurate with it, I like James Garner a lot. Whether he could have done more or not, he got the only assist of the night for us. So, I don't think it was spectacular. And there may have been moments where I felt he could have done a little better because he tends to kind of rush things a little bit, especially later in the game. And most, it's just kind of the tendency as you get late in the game, you want to win. You think, I've got to put this in now. But I like James.
Yeah, six is fair. And I have a friend of mine. His name's Keith, and he's been pounding the table. He's been wanting to see more consistency out of James Garner for a couple of seasons now. And I think this is a David Moyes thing with James Garner. I think this is David Moyes really getting through to him as a footballer and being like, look, you've got all the skill in the world. Just show it week in and week out. I thought he's had moments of brilliance in pretty much every single match. He's had to move all over the pitch to help out this team in different places. He got the assists. He did have some good shots. I mean, it was a good performance out of James Garner. You can't really. There's nothing to complain about. He didn't put much wrong in this one.
Yep, and when you really think about it, the way we're playing right now, I would almost be tempted to kind of maybe shelter him at a right back. I don't know. It's just he's so versatile, but his best position is obviously in the middle of the field. But if we're in a game where we feel like we're going to have a lot of possession and need that overlapping, I mean, he might be the better option than Jake O'Brien, honestly.
Yeah.
Regardless, moving on to Starman Jack Grealish, gave him a 6. He's always going to be the player that tries his best. It's going to continue to win the fouls and get us up the pitch. I would say maybe I'm a little disappointed in how it went for him on Monday, but that's also because we have such high expectations for him now. That when something doesn't come off for him, you're kind of like, well, what could he have done differently there? But, he's always double teamed and he never gives up. He's always trying to take these players on. One's covering the inside, one's covering the outside. So they don't want him to go either way, which is a great compliment to him. And he took that outside. He took the byline a couple times and just wasn't able to get the cross right. But he has that ability. We see it. And I think for me, it's just about getting him that support now. And especially that overlapping support. So that is something that a player has to think about, and they can't just pay attention to him, because now they have to think, oh, there's this left back coming around him that he's going to be able to pass it off to, or he's going to fake that pass and I have to follow the run, and then he's going to be able to take it where he wants to in a one-on-one. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, 6 is fine. I love that Jack Grealish is always looking for the pass. He's always looking to find somebody. That is exactly right. There were a couple times in that match where I'm like, man, Jack, if you pull the trigger right there, you're probably getting a shot on target and making Ariola make a save. So and maybe David Moyes is like, don't shoot as much. Maybe David Moyes is like, try to get to that byline, try to draw as many players to you as possible so you can find an open pass, which is fine. But I do want him to shoot a little bit more, which is kind of funny. Normally you're like, man, just pass the ball. There's somebody open. But with him, he's got the ability to score the goals. So I do want to see him try to shoot just a little bit more. Add that extra dimension and, make them think about something else.
I agree. And I do think there are many times where he gets the ball, he's right inside the box, he's in space, and all he needs to do is either take it first time or take a touch. And I reckon he'd get a goal, 1 out of 2 times, 5 out of 10 times. I reckon he would, because he's just got that technique and that ability. It's, that is my main stipulation with him, is somebody just needs to tell him, just shoot. I think that David Moyes probably doesn't give Jack Grealish too many instructions. In all honesty, bar his like defensive assignments, he probably doesn't. He probably just says go out there and express yourself, because that's just the kind of player Jack Grealish is. He doesn't need that instruction. Just go out and express yourself. Be the player that we know you have the ability to be, and do that. And now I think David Moyes will be okay, Jack. Good start to the season. Shoot the ball. Just shoot it, man. Like, we love your creativity. It's so valuable to us. Now just take some shots. Now teams have to really think about closing you down, which opens up more passes for you. Next is Kieran Dewsbury Hall. I also gave him a 6 as well. And real quick, hi, Rich. Thank you for joining us. And I do agree that he's about to be a big miss against Palace.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love Kieran Dewsbury Hall and his effort. I love his passion. The guy is just running around that pitch as much as he can the whole time he's on there. He linked up play pretty well. He had some really good touches without, and I think it's a kind of the James Garner thing. He played really good without being great. And that is, his position has been really interesting this season, as I guess, because he's really playing as like a quasi 10/8.
Yeah.
He's definitely pushed forward a little bit more. And, it's where I'm waiting for him to see something different from him, because it kind of just feels like it's a lot of small passes, a couple flicks here and there, and then what? And then what? Where is he involved in that next move? Because he was great against Wolves, and since then it's either teams have just found out his runs and he's being covered a little bit more, and we need to find a different way to play him, or what? I don't know.
Yeah, 6 is fair. I want to see just a little bit more from him. He's not playing bad. He's having his moments, but you just want just that little extra bit. I want to see those. I want to see those interplays with Jack Grealish. I want to see him play the ball up to. Obviously, Beto would have to be better at hold up play, but like if Beto could just hold the ball up a little bit and give Dewsbury Hall just a little bit of space to make a run and play it back to him, and then he can play a pass or he can make a run. I mean, that'd be great. But yeah, just I want to see a little bit more. He's got his moments, but 6 is fair for this match.
And I would be so interested to see what a slight change in position for him would be like. He's a left-footed player. I wonder what he would be like coming off the right. I don't know. I mean, I know I think he's pretty much played some midfield his whole career. He has the agility and the ability to play on that right side for me, or the left side really, but I don't think he has the speed to be just a solely left-footed player. And moving, I think we'll get on to next, who we're going to talk about next, but moving Iliman and Dye to the center, I think would be something that would really benefit him, because now we're going to talk about Iliman and Dye. I gave him a 6 as well. But I really am a little tired of this Iliman and Dye experiment down the right side. Maybe it's because he doesn't have that attacking fullback, so there isn't a lot of focus on Jake O'Brien overlapping, because the other team's like, well, we don't have to worry about that too much. But I just think he is so wasted on that right side, because he's a right-footed player who wants to be a right-footed player, who wants that ball on his right foot. He will take it on his left foot because he's just a competent guy and a really good technical player. But like, he's not being put in the best position to make the best use of his abilities. And so if he's not playing on the left side where he can jink and then he can take it to the outside and then bring it back in and the defender's crisscrossed all over the place, he'll take it inside on the right, but he's just not got that ability coming onto his left side the same way he does coming onto his right. He can't put in that same kind of cross. He can't find that same sort of path. So, he tries his effing ass off every week, and he goes out there and he tracks back and he puts a shift in. But after we conceded, his body language changed dramatically for me. I don't know if you noticed, but he just head down. He still fought for the ball when it was close by, but he just seemed to have lost interest a bit.
Yeah, I would actually give Iliman Dye a 5. I thought he was totally invisible this entire match. Just he had a couple good moments tracking back and winning the ball back after losing the ball, but like he really didn't offer anything. There was no. He didn't really take any guys on. He wasn't really passing the ball very well. I mean, it was a bizarre sight, because we're used to him being just brilliant every single match and beating at least one guy down the wing every single match, and he just didn't beat anybody in this match, which is bizarre, because it's not the most stout West Ham defense that you're ever going to see. So it's just, it was disappointing. You want to see more against a team like West Ham from a player like Iliman and Dye.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think a shuffle across our front line would be really beneficial, especially because teams are starting to find out the way we want to play. So saying, oh, now Grealish is in the middle and Dies on the left, Dewsbury Hall is on the right, or Dibling's on the right, whatever it may be. I think I think that's why I'm kind of looking forward to Dewsbury Hall being out against Palace, even though he's been important and he's a really good player. I think a bit of a reshuffle and a different approach to our attack will pay dividends in the long run, especially for hopefully. I shouldn't say especially, but hopefully for the next two guys we're going to talk about, Beto and Tierno Barry. I'm going to lump them together because they both really get a 5 for me. In all honesty, I gave Barry a 6 when I was writing this stuff down, but it's like a 5.5 when I'm rounding up because they just both of them just not involved at all. I think Beto had one of his worst game of the season for us by far, and probably one of his worst since he first signed. Because he just nothing stuck to him. Everything bounced off him so heavily. You could sit there and say, "Oh, well, he doesn't want the ball played here or there," but I don't know, man. It just seemed like he just was not involved. And then he just like people want to talk about his work rate. I think it's a bit mythical in my opinion. Like he works hard in like these really scrambly, panicky moments, and then then it's kind of like, oh, he's just walking around. Oh, I don't want to press. Oh, I just didn't get the foul call I wanted, so I'm just going to get up and throw my arms and strop around. Like I don't get it sometimes.
Yeah, I think a five for both is accurate. Beto had his chances, I think, to make an impact in this game. There was a ball in behind that he just he tripped over himself. I mean, he basically
just ran in a straight line.
He tackled himself and just kind of fell over. And it's just like, Beto, like if you just have a little bit of composure there, you might be able to hold that ball up and have somebody make a run and we score a goal. And then Barry comes on and he doesn't touch the ball.
I don't think he's really
missing. He was missing. I was like, where is he? Is he even on the pitch? Because I haven't seen him. And I don't know if that's something that has to do with him or if that's something to do with like other players not finding him. I don't know. But he was just not there, which is it's a real bummer to have Beto, who can score goals but is not always a consistent goal scorer. And then that puts a lot of pressure on Tierno Barry because people are going to be calling for him to start, but he's a raw player coming to the Premier League as a young player. He's never played in this league before, so he has to learn. But everyone wants him to score goals because we need an outlet at the top of the formation, and we just don't have one.
Yeah, which
is forcing a lot through the wings, which is fine because we have brilliant wing players. But if you can get that extra layer, if you can have a forward, if you can have that guy to take away a center back, take away a defensive midfielder, that's going to open up so much more space. And right now, we're just not seeing it.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like it's such a multi-layered situation as well for Moyes to deal with, because I'm sure both strikers want to start. Barry's a new guy, he's a kid, came for a lot of money, feels like he deserves to start. Beto has been here for a while and feels like he's earned his place. And so trying to find a way to get the winning combination seems to be really tough. And it's just constant. Well, Barry's going to start. Well, Beto's going to start. Well, Barry's going to start. Well, Beto's going to start. And Beto's probably started a little bit more, but Barry's still right there. And if Beto has one game, maybe Barry starts. And it's just kind of like, man, somebody needs to make this position their own, because neither one seems like they want to make the position their own. And one of them needs to step up and say, I want this position. The boss, the gaffer, the coach wants me to play like this, and I'm going to do my best to play like this, and I'm not going to give up. And what I'm seeing right now is both of them kind of just act like they just have given up a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw today, but Barry deleted like all his Everton posts off Instagram.
I did see that.
It's like, look, man, if you're going to come here and you're 3 months into being at a new club and you can't take the fact, like somebody had to have told you that Everton fans are a little reactive. And yes, to our own detriment, we are a little reactive at times. It's the nature of the sport. Find me any club whose fans aren't reactive after a bad performance. It just is what it is. And the ones whose fans aren't reactive after a bad performance are just used to losing, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to diss anybody else. But you are a 22-year-old. You're on great money. Get your butt out there. Get your butt out there and play. Get your butt out there and play, man. Like, come on.
If I was David Moyes, and obviously I'm not because I'm not smart enough to be David Moyes, I would be playing Barry every week at this point from now on. Because the thing is, he's got to learn how to play. And the only way he's going to learn how to play is playing more minutes. And he might be a little raw. He's going to have some moments where it's not great, but he
Or he
also
reacts and like he kicks the ball away for the yellow card, like he did against Wolves.
sure, yeah. But with Beto, you know what you're going to get, which is fine. But you're going to get what a run of goals every once in a while, and he's going to get hot. But then immediately after that, he's going to return to the guy who tackled himself in the box with one defender on him. Like it's really frustrating because and I'm sure David Moyes is like us. He's like, I don't know what to do. What am I supposed to do? Neither one of these guys has grabbed this job by the scruff of the neck. So I'm just trying to figure it out. And I don't envy that position because, obviously they did spend a lot of money on Barry, but he's young, he's inexperienced. And Beto we know what Beto is. He's an inconsistent striker who can be streaky at times. So
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep. Last player we'll talk about is Tyler Dibling, who came on with only 10 minutes left to play for Ilman and Die. He came on and he looked good. Bought a couple fouls, had a couple good moves, bringing the ball inside onto his favored left foot. And I think I personally, even though he only played 10 minutes, I think he did more than enough to start in Dewsbury's Hall absence against Palace.
Yeah, I mean he looks exciting, man. He looks like a lot of fun. I obviously I didn't see how he played against Wolves. How did he look when he played against Wolves?
I think everybody struggled against Wolves, in all honesty, man. I think he was pretty anonymous. It just nobody was doing enough to get anything going, in all honesty. So I can't expect too much from a 19, 20-year-old.
19,
yeah. And especially in a side where it seems like everybody else around you just isn't really trying very hard. The Wolves game, we have to look to the wayside. It was a David Moyes mistake. He should have picked a more senior player, attacking player like Jack Grealish or Dewsbury Hall and Die to really get that attack going and to link that up, because they're the ones in match fitness and they're the ones in form. Regardless, yeah. I just think that he would be somebody that deserves to come down the left or down the right. Again, it's that dimension to the attack that we need in terms of our wing play, because Ndai is not bringing it up down, off the right onto his left foot, his favorite foot. Dibling's bringing it off the right onto his left foot, which is his favorite foot. He cuts inside, he can make that pass, he can take a shot. I think that's going to benefit us a lot more, especially against a Palace side that play three at the back.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's it. We're done talking about West Ham. I can't believe we just spent 42 minutes
moving
talking
on.
about freaking West Ham. Gosh, I did not expect it to take that long, but there's a lot to say. A lot to say.
Yeah.
And then we can just talk a little bit about this. Should anybody be pressing the panic button yet at Everton? I mean, so we are on a 3-match winless run right now. 4-match winless run. Yep. Drew with 2 draws, 2 defeats if you count the Carabao Cup. And we've only scored 2 goals in that time. Things have felt like they are tilting a little bit. Jacob, are you pressing any panic buttons?
I'm not panicked yet, but it is. I wrote the month recap for September today at work. You're looking at the next 3 matches. You're playing a Palace side that hasn't lost in 19 matches. You're playing a Manchester City side at Manchester City where you haven't won since 2007. And you're playing Tottenham Hotspur at home. And that's a really good side. They are scuffling a little bit. They still haven't really found their footing under their new manager. So maybe you can get a point, or maybe you can beat them at home. But those other 2 matches, that you're asking a lot. I mean, Crystal Palace right now, they're one of the best sides in Europe. I'm not going to say that they're one of the best sides in England. They're one of the best sides in Europe right now. Oliver Glasner's got them playing an unbelievable brand of football. They're a lot of fun to watch. They're playing with so much confidence. They have a striker who is scoring goals pretty much every single week. They have a great midfield. Their defenders are fantastic. They were able to keep Gahey here for another year, which is great for them. They had a good window. I mean, it's a tough matchup. I'm not panicking yet, but like it's a really tough next 3 matches. And if you don't win any of those 3, you're talking about 7 in a row without a win. And then you're talking about we're getting towards November, and you're talking about we haven't won since August, and that starts to wear on you, and the fans are going to be annoyed as well. So I'm not panicking yet. But the next 3 matches are really important, and yeah, I think you got to get one of those 3. You're going to have to beat somebody you're not expected to.
Yeah, I agree about Crystal Palace. I think they are playing very, very well right now. I watched that game against Liverpool, and they were all over them the whole game. I do think Liverpool are have flattered to deceive very heavily this season. I think the two losses they've suffered this week speak highly to that they are a side who's probably going to not have the season that they would have had consistently over the past few years. But at the same time, they were still on top of them. They were very confident. They created, honestly, Palace probably could have scored 5 or 6 goals against Liverpool. They were that good. I think they hit the post 2 or 3 times. They were extremely, extremely good against Liverpool. So that worries me a lot. Am I panicking fully about Everton yet? No, I'm not. It's we have a much better team than we did last year. Yes, the league as a whole has gotten quite a bit stronger. I think maybe this kind of tempers our expectations a little bit this run, and maybe tells us, okay, maybe we're not quite ready for a top 8 push, right? But hey, if we can get top 10, I think that's great progress. If we finish top half, even 10th, I think that's great progress for the club. If we can hit 50 points even, I think that'd be great progress. Are we going to? I don't know. If we can get 45 to 48 again, I think that'd be good. At the end of the day, we knew that one window was going to change us. And I think David Moyes has even come out and said that one window was not going to be able to fix his team, that it was going to be a long-term effort. Okay. We addressed some issues. We addressed the creativity issues in the side. We still have to address the defensive issues that are going to arise with the fullback situation. We're going to have to address midfield issues and an aging Ghana Gay. We have some good pieces there, but we're going to have to replace the ones that are aging out. And this is not going to be something that happens overnight. So no panicking yet. Definitely some frustration because it feels at times that we do enough to win these games, but until we find a way to get these strikers scoring and actually really, I think more than anything, actually creating something for them, because I don't think we've really created a lot for our strikers, whether that's from their own work ethic or from the kind of chances we're creating. I don't think we've really been able to make any like golden chances for Beto or for Barry over the past 3 or 4 games. But so now, since we're already talking about Palace, you already said so much about them, this 19-match unbeaten run. Liverpool's first loss of the season. They win against Dynamo Kiev away. Good win. We weren't even able to win there. We actually got our butt kicked there. Oh, I remember that game so vividly. But look, so let's talk a little bit about Crystal Palace and Oliver Glasner. They have scored 9 goals and conceded 3 this season. They are a hot team. They play a 3 at the back with wing backs. In the league, they have played like a 3-4-2-1, right? So they overload that midfield. They've got 4 players in that midfield, which I think is going to be a real difficult ask for us, right? They have Adam Wharton, Yeremy Pino, Ismail Assar kind of plays in that quasi 10 role with Mateta up top, and then they have who's the other midfielder? Regardless, they play this forward midfield. That's a worry for me.
Yeah,
that is a worry for me big time, because if they can just cut through that midfield, I think it's going to be a real tough day for us. We're going to have to see what happens. I know we're going to be pushing our fullbacks up high. I know we're going to be trying to overload those wing areas. I'm a little worried about how Sunday's going to look.
Yeah. The one thing that I don't want to see David Moyes do is do the same thing he did against Liverpool, where he just kind of sat back and it's like, all right, we're going to be stout defensively. Yeah. We're going to try to break them down a little bit, make them make a mistake, because they're not going to. And they have the players to still pass around you and make the quick pass and beat you. And to be honest with you, if Jake O'Brien's going to be playing right back again, that they've seen that tape. That they've seen, oh, look, West Ham exploited this. This is something that we can exploit and we can get after it. It's a tough matchup. It's a really tough matchup. They're really a quality side with great coaching, and they're well drilled in what they know what their job is. Everyone knows what their role is, and they don't stray from their role. It's crazy. They're so good now. It took Glasner a little while to get it figured out, and it took them a little while to figure out how they wanted to play under him. But he's got them now. He's got them, and everyone's bought in, and it's impressive. What they're doing is impressive, and you're good for Crystal Palace. They've been mid-table fodder for the entirety of the time that I've been watching the Premier League.
Yep.
And
below mid-table. They've been relegation battles. They've been
they just haven't really amounted to much, and now they've won 2 trophies, which is that's crazy. Huge. Crystal Palace has won 2 trophies. They won a match in Europe today, away from home.
Their first one ever.
I mean, so it's tough. It's tough for Everton. It's a tough draw, and especially now when Everton are probably playing they're playing their worst football of the year, and one of the worst stretches under David Moyes, honestly. So
Yeah, so I think that just really calls for a routine 2-0 win for the Toffees on Sunday.
wouldn't that be something though? Like
I could see it.
Palace on this crazy unbeaten run, Everton coming in, haven't won in 4 matches, and Everton comes in and just ho hum. Jack Grealish scores a goal, Beto gets a goal, and then Everton wins 2-0.
It would be nice. It would be a real nice way to end their Cinderella story and pushes up the league. But look, at the end of the day, that's not what we're going to be walking into. We're going to be walking into a very confident side who are going to look to who know that they're coming up in a tough game. Like regardless, any team that's coming to the Hill Dickinson Stadium this season, it's going to be a tough game.
Yeah.
We're going to have more possession. We're going to have the players that can hurt them if they aren't paying attention. So they're going to come in well drilled, and it might end up being a scrappy 1-0 either way. You know, it might be a 0-0. Who knows? They've had a few draws this season, so anything's possible. What's your prediction?
I'm gonna go 1-1. I'll go 1-1. Because I do think Everton still have a quality side that can match up with them if they're at their best.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be tough without Dewsbury Hall, but I think David Moyes is going to have a plan for this. And hopefully they come out and they play their game. Get everyone involved, crisp passes, get Jack Grealish involved on the wing, and hopefully you can catch those wing backs a little bit and exploit that space a little bit. That would be something that I'd look into. But 1-1. I'll say 1-1.
Yeah, I think 1-1's fair. I was going to say 0-0, but I think
it seems unlikely, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a game that has goals in it. Man,
I can also see Palace winning this 3-0.
Yeah, I mean, like it's hard to see us winning, but just about any other result seems possible. In all honesty,
yeah,
I do think I'm going to say, I think Palace is going to win 1-0. I think they'll win 1-0. I think it'll be a fairly scrappy game. I think we might have a couple chances, but I think we'll kind of fail to create too much again. And I think Palace will just take one chance. That's all they need to do is take one chance and then sit and keep us at bay. I hate saying it's the first time I've predicted a loss for us this season, but I do think that we will lose. Hate it, but at the end of the day, Crystal Palace being the first team we lose to at the Hill Dickinson Stadium hurts, man.
Could be worse. I mean, it could be worse,
I don't know if it could. Yeah, I guess it could be Liverpool. But I don't. There's nobody who would be like, we lost to them. Like even Man City or Arsenal, whoever, a great team, I'd be like, I don't want to lose to these guys.
You know what though? I think the one thing that I really like now with Everton after going through all of that we've gone through is they can play with anybody. I mean, they played well with they played once they came out of their shell. They played well against Liverpool.
Yeah.
They'll play well against Crystal Palace. They're not going to back down. They're not going to be scared of a team that's in good form, and Hill Dickinson will be up for it. It'll be nice. But I don't. There's not like a team there. I'm like, Everton might just get blown out of the water here. You know what I mean? Like I feel like they can play with just about anybody now, which is great.
Yeah, I totally get you, especially at home too. It seems like even with like Goodison, I don't know, felt a little weird at times towards the end, but
bad juju at Goodison.
Yeah, I agree. It was kind of weird in all honesty. I don't know what it was, but
love it, but bad juju.
Mm-hmm. Long-standing bad juju too, but I don't know. Like, how do I want to put this? I think that this team is really going to show itself. I think when you really think about Palace and how good they've come as a club, how much they've grown as a club, you kind of get a little jealous and think of how set back we've been over the past few years. And I totally hear you when what I think about us is that we always seem to play to the level of our opponents, good or bad. That has been an Everton thing for probably since like Martinez's first season.
Yeah,
maybe his second season. We always seemed, I should say his first, because the second we started, this is when the trend started for me, of playing to the level of your opponents, of not going to a game thinking, we should beat these in the right way. Because a lot of times you can go into a game, we should beat these, but then you're overconfident. You need to go and think, being just straight confident. I know we can beat them. We are going to beat them. I will make sure and do the work and put in the work to beat these guys, right? If you're talking about a team that you're you're not you would expect to beat. And then when you look at another team that you think, oh, this we might not beat them, we might not have a chance. You think, well, then I'm going to work harder than them. I'm going to improve my game and step up. And we've always been this team that rises to the occasion at times or sinks to the level of our opponent and makes it something that doesn't need to be. And we give up. We don't have, like, I think what you mentioned, we don't have that identity yet. We're still listing. We still don't quite have it. We're getting there. The pieces and the foundations being put in place for this identity, but it's not quite back yet. And I think it's something we've lost. So, during the whole Mashiri reign, we never really had an identity as a club. We were just a club that was attached to an old stadium that had good fans. But as a team, as a footballing model, we didn't have it. And it's what we're missing and why until this project with the Freakins and stuff really is 2-3 years in, I don't think we're going to quite get those rewards that we're hoping for right now.
Right.
Well, so we are down to the Q&A aspect, the last bit of our show. I have 4 questions here, all from the Toffee Blues, and here they are. Jacob, I hope you're ready. You didn't have any time to think about them.
I'm ready.
Yeah, you're ready. So from Toffee Blues, John, what are either of you looking forward to most when coming to the Hill Dickinson Stadium? And is it a toffee donut? It is not a toffee donut. I don't even think I'll buy one of those, in all honesty. I'll let somebody else buy one and I'll take a bite. But
it's so funny that donut has kind of been like the early meme of the stadium. It's been pretty funny.
Followed them to America and like to the PL Live show and so yeah.
I saw that. I'm like, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
What am I looking forward to when I go to the Hill Dickinson Stadium? I mean, just seeing it.
Yeah.
And that's a stupid thing to say probably, but like just walking inside and seeing that this is our home for the next 100 years.
Hopefully, yeah.
120 years.
As long as it doesn't fall into the river.
Yes, as long as it doesn't fall into the river. But I mean, like, and that's a really simple answer, but like, that's kind of how I felt when I wanted to go see Goodison. And when I went and saw Goodison, and the very first time, I'll never forget, I'm riding in my Uber, and I turn, and we round this corner, and there it is, the silhouette just on. It's there, and I'm like, man, this is just. You can just kind of feel it, and I saw, I went there, and I went and saw the construction site. I didn't get to go inside, but like. I stopped at a pub right outside, and I'm just like, this is going to be so cool. So I'm just excited to go in and see it, look around, go see the bricks. I want to go see. I want to see everything. Like I want to walk around the stadium and just feel it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean that's about the only thing I feel like I could look forward to. I think maybe what I would really like to do is go there. I would like to be there for the first derby. That would be really special to be, because I'd like to see that place when it is at its most feral.
Sure.
When it is the big bear pit that we know Goodison always could become. I'd like to see that place full of 51,000 angry Evertonians, who are ready and baying and barking and are bloodhounds. I'd love to see it like that, because I'm not going to lie, I was a little disappointed with the crowd on Monday. It is really hard for me at times to get upset with fans. Because at the end of the day, you're there to watch a sport, and American sports is not it's not as organic as the Premier League is. It doesn't have the same ebb and flow of singing and chanting and rivalry and banter with the other fans. But it just felt it felt like we let West Ham sing all over us all night. And we barely said anything back. And it's like, guys, like, where's our pride right now? Like, even after we scored, it was like a couple chances, and then it was like back to the low chatter of just people talking.
Yeah.
And it's too often. Like, I don't care if we're playing West. I understand that like people feel like they can't get as emotionally invested in a game if it's against like a West Ham or I don't know, a Sunderland or Aston Villa or whatever. But at the end of the day, man, like people want to say that the players on the field need to show us something so that we chant. Like, no, man, you get them go. It's not on me. It's not the player's job to get you going. You should show up ready to go, ready to sing, ready to give your full vocal, physical support for this team while you're in that stadium. That's what makes a home environment. That's why Crystal Palace have such great home form. I've been to Selhurst Park. It's not that intimidating, but they have great home form because they're just always singing. It's not amazing chants or not like this. The crowd is all in unison together. It's just a one stand, but it's constant noise. It's constantly there. It helps get other songs going throughout the stadium. When it's just this low hum drum, and then you hear people who are yelling at the players and and the only time you hear the crowd in unison is when they're groaning about a bad pass. It's like, guys, exercise these demons. Get away from them, please. That was a tangent. I want to see Goodison at its best because I'm disappointed when it's not at its best. And I feel like we as fans can do so much more. Next question is still from John. I'm potentially going to New York in December. What is one thing I should try when come to America? I don't want to say like a fast food. I don't know, marijuana. Like it's legal everywhere, man.
Pretty much. I mean, it is pretty much legal everywhere. I've been in New York. It would be cliche for me to say try New York style pizza, but don't go to try to find like a real New York style pizza place. Don't go to like one of the touristy spots.
Right.
Try to do a little bit of research. Find like a real spot that's going to give you like a real slice of pizza. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you, like New York style pizza is really good. I went there. I tried it. It's excellent.
Flexy. Yeah.
And also, figure out the subway. Don't be getting cabs everywhere. Figure out the subway.
Don't get a cab. Oh, I'll say. I mean, I've never lived in New York. I've been a couple of times. Don't even think about taking a cab. Even if you are desperate and you can't walk, just get somebody to pick you up and carry you and pay them. Don't take a cab. You're gonna get there faster. It's just not worth it. You're gonna go 4 blocks and spend $40. Don't do it.
Yeah. You're gonna sit in traffic forever. It's gonna be horrible.
Just walk or take the subway. 100% agree. I would say go to Chinatown and try some dim sum there because it's really freaking good.
It's a good idea too.
I've really enjoyed the dim sum I've had a couple times. I'm just a big foodie in general, but and then whenever you're going in December, you're going at Christmas time. The last time I went to New York was around Christmas. It's going to be crazy busy with people. Just don't let it get to you. Don't let the crowds get to you because it's going to be as you get closer to. And I'm probably sure they're going to stay in Manhattan.
Just try to keep moving. Just
keep moving. Exactly.
As long as you just keep yourself moving, you're going to be fine.
Yep. All right, so this is from Jamie with Toffee Blues. What player have you been most disappointed in this season? Jacob, you go first.
Ooh, okay. James Tarkowski.
Tarkowski, okay.
I mean, there's been multiple matches where I just feel like he's been diabolical. And I don't know if we talked about earlier, maybe Idrissa Gana Gueye is getting a little bit older. James Tarkowski's also getting a little bit older.
Correct.
Maybe he's starting to fall off a cliff a little bit. But both there have been problems with center backs making back passes this season that have been really sloppy.
They're really lucky not to get scored on too.
It's just like it's making me really nervous. But yeah. I mean, if it's not him, it's Dwight McNeil. I mean, Dwight McNeil's been, but he's not really playing, so
exactly.
it's hard for me to say that. But yeah, I'll say James Tarkowski.
Yeah, I mean, my initial thought was Gana Gueye, but at the same time, for me, it's a physical thing and an age thing with him. It's not an ability thing per se. But I would probably say Beto and to a lesser extent Barry. I really thought that Beto was going to come a bit more into his own. I saw Beto as a super late bloomer of a player who's got this chance at a club in a league that he probably never expected to get a chance in. And was going to take it and really learn every year and grow. And I'm just not quite seeing that. And maybe I'm expecting too much from a guy who's like 27, 28 years old already. But I really thought that he would start to come into his own a little bit more and actually find his feet and look a bit more like a Premier League player. And he's shown it in glimpses throughout games, or he's able to get his hold-up play right and shuffle it off, and then we're able to advance a little bit. But it's just so inconsistent with him that it's kind of just made me realize that it's just never going to happen. That penny is never going to drop. He's not really ever going to be able to change the player that he is now. And that really, at the end of the day, we might just be seeing the best version of Beto in his career. At the same time, there is probably reason and room to argue that he's not been given the chances and not been played to in the way that would benefit his game enough. In terms of those balls behind the defense, that's what he wants. He wants to run onto it.
Right.
I don't know, but it's the strike force in general has been very disappointing. And last question from Steve. Would you start giving Alcaraz more games or opportunities off the bench, and why isn't he? Jacob, what do you think?
He's a tough one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, because now, especially with Dibbling here now, I'm not sure. Like, he's a good player. Obviously, he's a good player. We saw some really, really fine quality moments out of him off the bench last season.
Mm-hmm.
I think David Moyes is just trying to figure out where all the puzzle pieces fit right now, early in the season. I'm sure that David Moyes would love to get Charlie Alcaraz involved more, but you're not going to start him probably, because Ndai and Jack Grealish are better players. Is he going to come in and replace one of those off the bench? Is he going to come in and try to replace Dewsbury Hall off the bench? I don't know. Um, it's hard to see where he fits in to the current way that David Moyes is setting the team up. And I think once everything becomes a little bit more clear and everything's more concrete, you'll be able to give him more opportunities to impact the game late on.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed he hasn't been more involved this season, but I'm also been really disappointed with Moyes subs in general this season. It
Yeah.
doesn't seem it's been really, really weird and frustrating because I don't think he's had the trust in his players at all to be able to change things. And that's like you signed a decent amount of these players now, Moyes. Like you need to be able to trust them to come off the bench. And especially for me was the Tyler Dibbling. I'm really unhappy that he waited so long to bring him on and
Yeah.
only gave him 10 minutes against West Ham because Ndai, the second after we scored, I told you his body language just dropped. On 70 minutes, he should have been taken off. And Dibbling should have been given an extra 10 minutes. Should have been given a solid 20 minutes to come out there and grow into the game and create something. Whether he just feels like Dibbling can't track back enough and will contribute in defense, whether he feels like Carlos Alcaraz just doesn't have the prerequisite skill to play in the wings and maybe doesn't trust him through the middle. I don't know. I think Carlos Alcaraz probably will start against Palace. I think he'll start against Palace. I don't think he'll give Dibbling a start. I think he'll start Alcaraz through the middle and keep Ndai on the right and Grealish on the left because that's just the way he likes it. I like Carlos Alcaraz a lot. I think at times, his worst qualities are maybe having a loose touch or not always knowing exactly what he wants to do with the ball in the final third.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's so direct. And when I had this vision of Carlo Alcaraz this season, I thought he's going to be so useful in these games at home in the final minutes if it's a close game because he's going to be tired legs and he loves to run. He's a runner with that ball. He just gets it and he wants to go. Getting that guy in the middle of the field who can be direct and take players on and be really good. And then, but even more so in away games when we need to play on the counter and you have Carlo Alcaraz sitting at the top of that midfield three, ready to take that ball in between the lines and just run with it and take players on, buy a foul, create something, and be direct. And we haven't seen any of that this season with him. Against Wolves in the Cup, he started, and there were moments he'd get the ball in between the lines, and then his worst qualities would show up. He'd turn and then be like, oh, well, I don't know if I should take this shot from 30 yards out, which you probably should never do, Carlos, in all honesty. Or should I, try to play somebody through, and then it's too late and the chance is gone, and then we don't get anything out of it, So maybe that part of that's match fitness with him. I do think he deserves a lot more time than he's getting right now. And again, that comes down to David Moyes just not making substitutions or just being so incredibly reactive with his substitutions that they're just not right. So he deserves more time, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that is one thing that has been pretty constant with David Moyes since he's come back. It's like the subs are just too late. They're just too late almost every single match. And it's just like, David, there are times where, like, if we could get these guys on a little bit sooner, we might be able to we might be able to score another goal. I don't know. Yeah. It's a little frustrating. Yeah.
It's weird because you as a fan, you feel like you can see it. Things aren't going right. Something needs to change.
Right.
It's the 60th minute. West Ham have been coming at us hard down our left. The spaces are really open. Something needs to change. And it just doesn't until it's too late and they've scored and it's 1-1. And now we're at square one and we have to start over. And then a change comes on, but it's a change that we expect. Barry on for Beto. And it's a like for like and nothing changes. It's one ghost for another and we're moving on. So it's, whether that's because David Moyes is just now at a point in his managerial career where he either thinks he knows better than everybody else, which is not the idea of David Moyes I have in my head, or he just feels like this is how it's always worked for me. This is the way we're going to do it. And that he doesn't have the capacity to bring in any new ideas again. I don't know. But to me, it has been a big frustration. It's just the lack of trust in his substitutions, the lack of timing in his substitutions, and the lack of a plan during the game. I feel like as a manager, you would say, okay, it's the 60th minute, we're up 1-0 in your tactical sessions, right? We're up 1-0 in the 60th minute, barrier coming on for Beto, and this isn't always going to be the case because you have to look at, how players are and what their physical abilities are like in the game and how they performed. But you say, and then Bonum, you're coming on for Ghana, or Dibbling, you're coming on for Ndai, and this is a switch we're going to make. We're going to make 2 subs here. We're going to do that. We're going to freshen the team up and get the fresh legs in, and we're going to start attacking this way. If it's 1-1, we're going to do this. If it's 2-1, we're going to do that. It's not always that astute and structured.
Sure.
But I feel like there just isn't that plan in place, and it is all very reactive. And that's an old Everton. The reactive Everton is an old Everton, and we need to be able to move past that. So, all right. Went over a little bit today, but that's okay, y'all.
That's fine.
We really appreciate all the engagement and everybody being here. I'm going to continue to post these streams in Reddit, obviously on X as well. You can follow me at USAEFC. I don't typically tweet about much other than Everton, in all honesty. It's just kind of become that. Jacob, you want to plug your socials if you'd like?
Yeah, I will. I am on Twitter. I'm also on Instagram, but I'm not going to give you my Instagram because that would be weird.
I'll give it to you, don't worry.
So my Twitter is at Jake Holton 12. That's JAKEHOLTON 12 on Twitter.
Heck yeah! All right, you've got our socials. Come and follow us. Send us spam and abuse and tell us how bad we are at our jobs.
Tell us we're dumb Yanks because that's what we are.
I almost said a bad word. All right. Thank you so much, everybody.
All right.
Enjoy your night and up the Toffees. Hopefully
Toffees,
we
baby.
do something. Don't listen to my prediction, okay? Don't even listen to it.